Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to yet another episode of Muse Talk, a podcast initiative taken by SIO Mangalore. So today we'll be diving deep into a very fascinating topic where religion intersects finance. Join me as we explore the principles, the impacts and the working of this unique system that is Islamic banking. So I'm Zinera and I have with me Sister Umaira Banu, who has served as the State President of Girls Islamic Organization Karnataka and who is currently being trained as a professional chartered accountant. I'm glad to have you, Sister, with me here today. So I'm glad to have a discussion on this unique concept of Islamic banking. So let's start from the very basics. As we come across this term of Islamic banking, as a layman or let it be as a Muslim. So the first thing that comes across our mind is that it is a system which goes in accordance with the teachings of the Quran and the teachings of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if we ask them anything further, they'll let you know that it is something where the taking and giving of interest, riba, it is prohibited. So this is the basic definitions that most of us are aware about. So apart from this definition, what else would you like to add on to this? And also it would be nice if you would give a difference as how it is different from the conventional banking system for our viewers to have a better understanding of the topic.
Okay. Islamic banking is a very vast concept and it has a unique scope, as you said, and accordingly it is actually based on the Sharia compliances and certain Islamic rules, and we need to adhere to the principles of Islamic law. When I want to going back to the meaning of definition of Islamic banking or conventional banking, they usually trade on money.
Yeah.
And Islamic banks, they trade on the assets, where money is just a medium of exchange. So what I meant to say is conventional banks treat money as a commodity. So they rent money for interest, and even while paying, they rent it. They rent the money. But Islamic banks, they take money as a medium of exchange, but actually they trade on assets or goods or services. So
this is the main difference.
This is actually the main difference. So conventional banking, you don't find any, you actually see the presence of money there. Customers will go to the bank, they will deposit money, and the banks, they will charge interest on that, and the customers will receive their principal amount along with such a huge amount of interest. Similarly, when the banks provide loans to the customers, they will again charge interest, and the customers will end up paying more than what they have received from the bank.
Yeah.
But in Islamic banking, where the customers will go to the bank, Islamic bank, they will actually invest certain portion of their savings amount or whatever the short money into the bank, and the banks, they will invest in the assets. They will sell off the assets, and whatever income they derived will be distributed among the members there.
So now you have already mentioned about those key principles that are included in the working of the Islamic banks. Like you have mentioned about the risk bearing, sharing of it, and then ethically investing the money. And then also, if I'm not wrong, about the asset-backed financing system. So these are some technical terms, if I'm not wrong. A layman cannot understand those in a better way. So could you just shed some examples for the better understanding of these technical terms?
Okay, the main key traits of Islamic banking, or as you can say it as characteristic features of Islamic banking, it's away from it prohibits gambling, the businesses involved, which involves gambling, which involves a lot of speculative trade practices. For example, high risk bearing securities. And so not only that, usury, that is sood, we say interest. We all know that interest is completely prohibited in Islam. Those who pay interest, those who receive interest, and those who record interest is completely banned in Islam. But Islamic banks, on the other way, has lot of Islamic products and services which a common layman is not aware about. We have the concepts of mudabara, we have musharaka, we have sukuk concepts. So Mudabara, I would like to just
These are two
the common
technical things,
technical aspect is Mudabara. It is something the other name for profit and loss sharing. It's
Okay.
actually based on profit and loss sharing. That
Okay.
means, as I said earlier, whatever we invest in the Islamic bank, we get it in the form of profit or
Profit,
loss.
yes.
If there is loss, that is also distributed among the members, whoever has contributed their amount
Yeah.
into the, their share into the bank.
Okay. So now you have just spoken about the principles and all that. So we at times we come across people, like you have told about this profit bearing thing and about interest.
Yes.
So we come across in our daily lives, we have people who come to us and
Yes.
they know that in the Quran it has been clearly mentioned that interest is haram. Okay.
Haram, yes.
Profit is okay, you can take profit.
Take profits.
But what they tend to try to convince us with is that interest is nothing but the profit that we are earning from our business, from our trade. So why is it something that we are not supposed to take? So this is one basic, I feel that most of our viewers also might be having this question. So could you just elaborate on this thing?
Yeah. It's a common question and it's a common notion, I feel, because many of us, maybe among our family members also, they believe that when their income, the extra income what they have, and they pool into the savings account of their whatever the banks they invest into, they feel that whatever amount they are receiving in the form of interest is like a profit for them or extra earned income.
Yeah.
But that's because of the lack of awareness they have. I think the awareness must be created, according to the Islamic Sharia, or we have to, create awareness among them, saying that Islamic banking is something Sharia compliant.
Okay, so basically we have to educate ourselves.
We have to educate ourselves, and I think lot of, especially our women must play a very vital role in this, because she, as the homemaker, has to educate her spouse, educate her children on how to pool the total income of the family into various sources of various avenues of investments, not into the haram kind of business. Islam has prohibited every other form of halal business. It is giving way to you to increase your income through halal ways. So that is what the concept has to be built up in the family, and that atmosphere has to be created.
Yeah. So now you have already taken the concept of women educating everyone at home. Currently in the present scenario, you see there are many women who run small scale businesses, right?
Yes.
So these women, they don't have much knowledge about this Islamic banking system.
Yes.
So what they tend to do is that they approach the conventional banking system, and these banks, they provide these micro funding, which they use for all these small scale businesses. If I'm not wrong, it is also known as micro credit, I think.
Yes, micro credit societies.
So these women, they avail those services and they start their business without understanding what will be their outcome. So over the period of time, what these people they face is that they find themselves entangled, where they have this pressure of paying the interest to the banks, and at that moment they feel that the amount that they have to pay back to the bank is greater as compared to the amount that they have taken from the bank. So now they feel devastated. They don't know, like more than what we are earning from our business, they have to give back.
They end up paying more.
Exactly. So now that we are talking about the system, Islamic way of approach in banking system, what would be the concept of microfunding in Islamic banking system, so that our women may educate themselves more on this topic, so that it may help them for future?
Okay. As far as the microfinance is concerned, Islamic banking is one. Islamic banking actually gives opportunities for this microfinancing the small entrepreneurs actually, and especially when you say women entrepreneurs, small women entrepreneurs, they end up paying more interest, more than what they've received in order to start up their project. So basically, Islamic banks provides interest-free based loans through the microcredit societies. As I say societies, see, for example, I am working in a chartered accountancy firm where I actually look into the accounts of various credit cooperative societies. It is somewhat similar to the conventional banks only, wherein they collect a lot of deposit from their members. They charge them very
High.
and they actually charge a huge amount of interest. And when you look at their profit and loss account, the large portion of the income is actually clubbed with the interest income.
Okay.
And out of that they are actually deriving what is the profit or loss arrived. And our women especially, they end up supporting these credit societies. For example, I think there's one society, I do not want to mention the name. There are some societies they call as Sahakara Sangha. We say there are a lot of Sahakara Sangha which is actually funding these small entrepreneurs, but they actually charge some small amount of interest. But at the outset they actually they provide some affiliated they provide some opportunities for them.
Okay.
They give them assets, they give them some facilities. For example, if they want to start what to say,
They give a platform for them to,
if a woman want to start a tailoring business or something, she end up collecting money from the bank or the credit societies, and she may not be aware about the interest charged on it or whatever, and at last she end up paying more amount
and
of
she won't be
interest.
aware of that.
Yeah, but Islamic Bank actually it is it provides you the interest based free loans, and we have lot of Muslim Sahulat societies, and not only that, when I speak of microfinance also, some other aspect also is coming to my mind with regard to the stocks. See, we know that we have two stock exchanges, Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange, which have lot of Islamic stocks in it, but people are unaware about it. There are stocks which is halal, and there are some muftis, ulema, who will just scrutinize each and every stock and will consider what is halal and what is haram. But if you if you just browse through your applications in your phone, Islamic stocks, Musaffa Academy is giving some awareness of stocks and all, which is, I think Muslim women can opt for it. They can go for it. They can have an opportunity. They can take some time and refer back to these stocks and find out which is very applicable for them. Because if they invest in these stocks, they will have a satisfaction that yes, my income is at least pooled into the stocks. So I think this is a right time when they can actually invest in their startups by investing in all these Islamic stocks, or maybe in other forms of whatever is available before.
So it is basically that we have to educate ourselves where we have doors open waiting for us to avail such provisions through Islamic banks. And also with this we have to also make sure that it is women are not confined to four walls. They can start up their
business.
And just because conventional banks, they are opting for interest.
More on that, adding on to the point, Islamic banking is not just that you go to the bank and collect money, or you go to a particular society, or you go to the particular agency or whatever. Even masjids have some affiliated associations that provide you loans, etc. Even among your families, you can start some crowdfunding thing. I don't know, in other languages, they keep on giving different names for it. Through that, at least all of the savings of each member of the family is pulled into it, and that can be very helpful for the people out there who are very in a very bad financial condition. So in that way also, this is one part of Islamic banking also.
So with this, we can understand that women, they have opportunities out there, and you can help your family with such things. So with discussion on this thing, we also come across a very frequently asked question, that is, are we supposed to, can we work in banks? Right, because interest, it is haram, we are not supposed to work there and all that. So what is your
this is a very common question, especially when I am actually pursuing my education in this field only. People ask me, you are pursuing chartered accountants. Basically, it is something where you are actually recording your transactions, interest-based transactions. See, the concept is, if you're working in a bank which is actually dealing in interest transactions, then definitely it is haram. But if you're working as maybe in a bank, if you're a watchman if you are a maid or a servant or something, or if you are into differently. And if the bank is providing you a salary, it's not out of the interest. See, banks usually have some funds in the form of interest,
yeah.
but they do have some other source of funds. And maybe they have sometimes owner's capital also would be in the bank. Sometimes some gold deposits, other things, every other funds will be actually deposited in the bank. So after pooling all the funds and out of the income what is available, they will provide the salaries, or they will pay the salaries off to the other employees there. We cannot just stick on to one thing that they will pay the salaries out of the interest itself.
Yeah.
But if that is a concept, then definitely you are not supposed to work in the bank.
Yeah.
But if you should make sure you should make sure that yes, the source of which income which I am earning, whether it is halal or haram, you need to confirm it first, and then you can go for it. And but in India, you may not find lot of Islamic banks as such, but I think most of them, they prefer Islamic banks in other countries like Middle East countries, or maybe other countries which actually offer Islamic banking. I think we can take opportunities to work there if you are more expertise in the field of banking. But make sure that if you are into some other job, for example, if you are a clerk, if you are an accountant, if you are a clerk, if you are a cashier or something in a bank, then definitely it is haram.
Okay,
because you're actually recording the transactions, you're entering the whatever interest taken, interest paid, you're actually entering there. That means you're recording the part of it, which is actually prohibited in Islam. So definitely that part, if you are into that part of the, working in the bank, then definitely it is haram. But if the sources of income, if the income which is earned by you through different sources of income from the bank, then definitely I think you can go for it.
Okay,
that's not an issue.
I'm sure that most of our viewers, they have got clarified with their personal doubts maybe. So now we have just spoken about recent years, how Islamic banking has evolved. Right.
Yes.
So when we come, when we look at the history, we find that in recent years it has made some positive progress. Right. That is not only in some Muslim-oriented countries, but even beyond that.
Yes.
So my question is that if I'm curious about what will be the impact if we get Islamic banking system to our present Indian economy, because you're aware of how is the economy running.
Yeah.
So what will be the impact of that?
Okay. To this question, I would like to quote many instances as far as possible, because first of all, this is when people hear about Islamic banking, they usually feel that this is something Muslim oriented and this is specifically designed for Muslims.
Like
but
Islamic banking is only for Muslims.
When I give you, I can give you instances like, for example, in developed countries, for example, China, you can take Britain, or you can take USA also. They also have the Muslims have adopted this particular system, and people are actually investing their money into these banks. And one of the famous, famous Pope also, in the Vatican City, he has also stressed on the point, saying that Islamic banking can be very helpful to actually improve the relations between the bank and the customers.
Okay.
Now the situation is, the customers and banks are, they're in completely different tracks. Banks do not know the customer, and they give up, they end up giving loans, amount, etc. For example, if you take the Indian, for example, the Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, if you see them, their NPAs have just crossed their limits. The banks have, they are unable to recover the loans, whatever they've given to these people, these largest entrepreneurs of the country, and they are just vanished away from the country. So even when you state the examples of farmers also, they are also ending up their lives. Even common layman is suffering because of this, etc. So this is not only, if the Islamic banking system is adopted in India, definitely it will have greater impact, especially the poor people will be protected, the small business group or the entrepreneurs, whoever wants to have a startup, they can depend on Islamic banking for small loans, and they can invest in their projects. And definitely that this can be a measure to alleviate the poverty, and more of people can feel the growth in the economy, and total of world that recession is there. That depression of the economy can be controlled.
So it is kind of inclusive kind of growth, where everyone grow together, right? So as we focus on profits as well in Islamic banking system,
Yes.
we also focus on the social responsibility as well,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It has to do something way much more important as a role towards social responsibility. So can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, when you speak about social responsibility, zakat comes to my mind. So zakat is actually a form of Islamic banking. Zakat is actually helping poor people out of the portion what is actually obliged on you. Every
Yeah.
Muslim has to
Pay a
spend
fixed, yeah.
2.5% of the aggregate of the income is whatever is fixed for that. So if everybody concentrates on this, that is also one social responsibility where you can help people through it. And I've mentioned earlier also, through crowdfunding you can help people.
Yeah.
And not only that, even during some natural calamities, whenever anything happens, or when any nature destruction happens, or when any floods or famines or whatever happens, this investment what you have made in the Islamic banking, or if you have derived any profit, that can be pulled into these sources.
Yeah.
Not only that, I want to stress on this point also. Now we sometimes people end up investing in these conventional banks, right? There are a lot of believers of Islam who might not have received interest.
Okay.
So those amount remain idle in the banks, conventional banks, and I don't know where that amount is.
Yeah.
So Kerala is the best example. Kerala, in the recent report of 2008, I think RBI reformed some report. Mentions that nearly 40,000 crores were not received by the customers because they believe that is haram. And I don't know where these funds are going into.
Okay.
So it's better when these amounts are invested into some very developmental activities. Even a country can boost its economy.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
instead of wasting the resources, we need to utilize them and try to develop our economy.
So now we have discussed about what is it and how is it different from the conventional banking system, and the principles, and how is it beneficial for a community as well. So we know that everything is backed up with some challenges, right?
Yes,
Challenges
yes.
are always there to give you some other
And
opportunities.
along with challenges, you have some opportunities also.
Yeah,
in front,
exactly. So it's interlinked.
Yes.
So what are the challenges backed by the Islamic banking system, and what are the opportunities also?
Yeah. See, challenges faced by Islamic banking is one that, people say that it is does not contain risks.
Okay.
Risks in the sense where usually in conventional bank, what happens is the owner's capital is invested into that, and with certain amount of risks, he has to get back he has to recover the amount and all. But Islamic banking, they say that there is no possibility of recovering the amount, and there is no we are not able to calculate the percentage of profit in this. But as I said in the beginning also, Islamic banking is itself something kind of profit. It's profit oriented concept, and everybody has to be aware about it. So challenge before us is, they think that it is an unprofitable aspect.
Exactly.
We are not going to earn anything out of it. Even the governments, especially our Indian governments, we have a center. For example, in our own association, we have an association called Islamic Center for Indian Center for Islamic Finance, which has proposed the concept of Islamic banking before the before our government. I think it was proposed that time and it was accepted for some time, and then the other governments, when they were shifting the other governments, it was deferred, it was cancelled, and a lot of reforming is happening through this. So committee is set up for that, and they are almost trying to create awareness among the people, and they are actually trying to develop this. Maybe inshallah we can foresee this in future,
inshallah.
Because maybe we will have a better approach of this in future.
So
inshallah.
what do you think? Like, is it the need of the hour that Islamic bankings need to be established over here?
Definitely, because at times of recession like this, when there is a high inflation now, we end up paying for things, but nothing remains in our hands.
Exactly.
So it's high time that we not depend on conventional banking for our savings. Let's start pooling our income into the best source of Islamic banking, and let us try to explore things. Let us try to, as I said, explore what are the avenues before us, what are the avenues of investment before us, like stocks, which are halal for us. So let us explore this and try to invest in it and help the poor people out and eradicate this poverty and let everybody be equal.
Yes.
There should not be any difference between the rich and the poor. The term of zakat, where the rich are actually paying
for the same
rich
purpose.
are paying to the poor, but in the other way it is happening. It's happening in a very negative way. That is, poor people are suffering, paying lot of ending what is not required for them.
So with this, we have almost we have covered all the aspects, I think, and it was really great to have you with us here. For sharing your insightful knowledge, and you have actually broadened our perspective, our approach to Islamic banking.
Yes, definitely. I think we should have something more research on this, because we Muslims, especially when we are actually dealing in Islamic banking, we should have a research on this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a very kind of very small basic thing which we have discussed.
It was just a gist
it
of
should have a very elaborative explanation on this, and more people need to be aware about it.
Yeah, exactly. We have to research more about this thing.
Topic,
we have to educate ourselves more.
Yes.
So I wholeheartedly thank you, sister, for joining us here and sharing your knowledge. And I also thank all our viewers for joining with us here through this journey of the world of Islamic banking system. And also to stay updated on our future videos and join our community, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.